This lesson focuses on adding fractions and mixed numbers. When we are adding fractions or subtracting fractions, it's very important that we remember that we must always have like denominators. Those denominators are the numbers that are occurring at the bottom of the fraction. That's the number that tells us, what size the pieces are that we're dealing with, or how many parts it takes to make up one whole. The top number is our numerator, and that simply tells us how many pieces we are dealing with in that particular situation. So we're just going to jump in and do some examples with adding fractions. We'll start with addition puzzles that have common denominators. So in problem number 1, you see that we have denominators of 9 on both fractions. So when this is our case, we simply need to add the numerators. We'll always check to make sure our fraction is in simplest form, so we will look to see if we have a common factor for our numerator and denominator other than 1, and in this case the only common factor is 1, so 7/9 is in simplest form. For puzzle number 2, we also have like denominators on the fractions, so we can just add the numerators. We wind up with 4/5. We don't have a common factor other than 1 for 4 and 5, so we are finished. Our next example involves fractions that do not have like denominators. So in these cases, we have to create the common denominators by looking for a common multiple. So in this case, our least common multiple for 3 and 6 would be 6. Since this fraction is already in 6, we only have to find an equivalent fraction for 1/3. So we need to think about what it takes to get from 3 to 6 using multiplication. And I know that 3 times 2 equals 6. And whatever I do to that denominator to keep an equivalent fraction, I also have to do to the numerator. So that tells me to multiply 1 times 2 for 2/6. So now I can rewrite that problem to say 2/6 plus 1/6. I can now just add the numerator. And in this case, I have a common factor of 3 for 3 and 6. So when I divide by that common factor, I am simplifying my fraction. So 1/2 is my solution to this situation in simplest form. For puzzle number 2, my least common multiple for 3 and 17 is going to be 51. So this means I have to find equivalent fractions for both 1/3 and 2/17. So I know that 3 times 17 gives me 51, so that's what I'm going to multiply the numerator by. And for 2/17, I know that 17 times 3 is 51. So let's rewrite that problem as 17 51st plus 6 51st. And that gives us a sum of 23 over 51. And that is simplest form for this puzzle. So now it's your turn. Pause the video as you try to add 3/4 plus 1/16 using the processes that you've seen in the previous examples, and restart the video to check your work. Alright, for 4 and 16, our least common multiple is 16, so we need to only find an equivalent fraction for 3/4. And I know 4 times 4 equals 16, so I will do 3 times 4 on the numerator. So now I can rewrite my problem as 12/16 plus 1/16. And 13/16 is simplest form. So again, we are finished with that puzzle. Alright, our next examples involve fractions that are actually mixed numbers. And that means that we have a whole number portion as well as a fractional portion to add together. Again, we're looking to see that we have common denominators, and in this case we do. So we can go ahead and add the whole number portions. That gives us 17. And then we can add the numerators. That gives us 6/9. We're always looking to simplify the fraction, so we are going to factor out the 3 in the 6 and the 9. and that will give us 17 and 2/3. Notice we did not divide the 17 by 3. We're only dividing the fraction parts, the numerator and the denominator, by that common factor. For puzzle number 2 on this screen, we don't have like denominators, so we are going to find an equivalent fraction in sixths for 1/3. And that allows us to rewrite the puzzle as 8 and 5/6 plus 2 and 2/6. And that gives us 10 and 7/6. Now our concern now is that 7/6 is an improper fraction. And remember, a fraction is really a division problem. So we can think about this as 7 divided by 6. That means I can get one group of 6 out of 7, one whole group. I have one piece left over, and that piece is still in sixths. So I can rewrite 10 and 7/6 as 10 plus the 1 and 1/6, and that simplifies to 11 and 1/6. All right. Stop the video for a moment. Try these 3 puzzles. Let's see how you're doing with like denominators, with unlike denominators, and mixed numbers. Restart the video when you're ready to check. All right, puzzle A, we have common denominators of 8, so we can simply add the whole number, and then we can add the numerators. Now I can simplify that. I have a common factor of 2 between 6 and 8. So that simplifies to 8 and 3/4 for this puzzle. For B, we have a common denominator of 10. So if 1/5 is written in tenths, that means we're looking at 2/10. So we can rewrite the puzzle as 5 and 2/10 plus 2 and 3/10. And that means we have 7 and 5/10. We have a common factor of 5. So that simplifies to 7 and 1/2. All right, your third try it puzzle did not have a common denominator available, so we need to find the common multiple of 9 and 6, which would be 18. So 5/9 is the same as 10/18, and 1/6 is the same as 3/18. So when we rewrite the original puzzle, we see that we have 1 and 10/18 plus 4 and 3/18. That gives us 5 and 13/18. That number is in simplest form. All right, on our last page, we have a quick context puzzle to solve. We have an addition puzzle that has multiple add-ins. We have 3 add-ins to take care of, and then just one more to practice with the unlike denominators. So in problem 1, we are asked, if Juliana and Brody hiked both of the trails listed in the table, how far did they hike? So we will take the length of the Woodland Park Trail, which is 3 2/3 miles, and add that to the Mill Creek Way Trail, which is 2 5/6 miles. We need a common denominator of 6, so when we rewrite the 2/3, we know that that is 3 4/6 plus the 2 5/6. And that is equal to 5 9/6. Now we have an improper fraction here, so we need to simplify that. My 5 stays. I can get one group of 6 out of 9, and I have 3/6 left over. So that gives me 6 3/6, which simplifies to 6 1/2. And don't forget your miles. We always need a label when we have a story to think about. All right, in number 2 we have 3 fractions. That's okay. We handle this the same way we do any other addition of fractions problem. We need a common denominator, and our common denominator for the 3's and 9's would be 3. So 1/3 in ninths. Let me clean that up just a little bit for you. Is going to be 3/9, and 2/3 in ninths is going to be 6/9. So when I rewrite the statement, I have 6 and 3/9 plus 1 and 6/9 plus 5 and 5/9. So we can add the whole number portions, and we get 12. And 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 5 is 14/9. And then when I simplify that improper fraction, I get 12 plus 1. 9 goes into 14 one time. We have 5 left over. And so that is giving me 13 and 5/9. And finally, in this last puzzle, our common denominator is going to be 12, because 12 is a multiple of both 12 and 4. 1/4 written as 12ths is going to be 3/12. So we can rewrite this puzzle as 8 and 5/12 plus 11 and 3/12. And that's going to give us 19 and 8/12. We have a common factor of 4 in both of these, both the numerator and the denominator. So we wind up with 19 and 2/3. Please make sure you review your notes carefully, write down any questions that occur to you as you're watching the video, and bring everything to class with you tomorrow.